Hi, and welcome back to Small Caps. I'm your host, Jess Vertig, and today we are hearing from critical minerals focused company called RareX. The company's ticker code is REE. Joining me is the Chief Executive Officer, James Durrant. Hi, James. It's great to have you back on the show.
Hello, and thank you very much, Jess.
Now, James, for our audience that aren't quite familiar with the company, would you mind just providing us just a quick or brief overview of the company and what the company's projects are?
No, RareX as a company was formed on the fundamental belief in the electronics revolution, clean energy generation, clean energy use. And through that, we got into carbonatite exploration and focused on our rare earth and phosphate project in the northwest Australia. But that is now an engineering project. And so our geology team have moved their attention to another area. And through that process, through that business development process, we've acquired this fantastic niobium project in the East Yilgarn region called the Khaleesi project.
So interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Khaleesi? So it's a niobium project. Can you tell us a little bit more about that project and its potential?
Absolutely. Look, rare earths and niobium go hand in hand. They are often considered the same. They are similar kind of metals. They come from the same rocks. You use the same techniques to find them both. And our geologists have done a lot of work over the past 8 to 12 weeks in particular, focusing on this region that we thought was really prospective for hosting carbonatites of niobium and rare earths. And through that process, we've managed to put together a significant land holding called the Khaleesi project. It's nearly 1,000 square kilometers. And in that process, we've made a desktop discovery that this is a large alkaline intrusive complex, 20 kilometers in diameter. Now, with all the geophysics and all the geochemistry that's gone into this, you can now say that that is the breeding ground for carbonatite intrusions which host niobium and rare earths. And so we're very, very keen to get on the ground and explore this. It's a fantastic opportunity.
Fantastic. Thanks, James. And there's been some historical exploration data that the company's already reviewed and reported on. Can you tell us a little bit about the significance of that historical data at Khaleesi, and also, in particular, what makes it so exciting?
Like it's sitting on the same structural trend as some of the largest known and highest grading carbonatites in the country, but they are stuck underneath a nature reserve, so they can't be mined. So it's only a few kilometers away from there. It's a long trend. There's large-scale nickel mines, large-scale gold mines on this trend. So it's been looked at in particular for those metals. So large tier one type companies have come through, done broad scale, quick but detailed exploration from drilling to geophysics, looking for their particular criteria, as big companies would, their KPIs. If they've not met, they've moved on. But what they've left behind is like a real treasure trove of data that, as a small company that's willing to put the effort in, we can dive through, and we have been trawling through this data, stitching it all together to see what have they missed. And it's very clear that this was missed. This large intrusive complex was missed. That is where you find carbonatites. That's where you find mineralization. And it's niobium rich. So these systems come through with highly elevated niobium values, which then means that you are in a system 20 kilometers wide with elevated niobium that somewhere in the middle, there's a reasonable probability that they are going to be concentrated to commercial grade. So that's fantastic. Beyond niobium, I mean, this thing is nearby a uranium deposit, is nearby a gold mine, and it's been considered prospective for copper. So there's additional prospectivity on this, but we are there in particular for the carbonatite niobium mineralization.
Wow, James, it sounds like there's just a lot of opportunity and blue sky potential over there for multiple commodities to be a multiple commodity project. But now, what are the company's plans for advancing this project now that you've got the historical data, you're sort of analyzing all of it? What are your plans now?
Absolutely. So the geology team have moved off our previous project, the Cummins Range project. That is now a mid-study phase. We're focused on offtake. That's the critical milestone that will validate that project and get it to move forwards. That's an engineering exercise, the commercial overlay. The geologists who have learnt all about carbonatites, the metallurgists that learned all about carbonatites by doing that, and now focusing their attention on this exploration flagship project the Khaleesi project. So we've got about another month's worth of data harvesting ahead of us. There's a lot more data still to go through, a lot more detail, and it gets better at every layer. So that's the first thing. We get our permits sorted, we get access to the ground, and we move in there in the first quarter of the new financial year, all about getting very, very high quality drill targets. The area is large, so we need to be very specific where we're going to put the drills. And then as soon as we enter quarter two of the next financial year, we'll be on there with a fully funded at this stage 10,000 meter drill program. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing, James. And speaking about fully funded, congratulations. You've just recently raised money in a very difficult market. Can you tell us who managed that raising and what will the $1.5 million that you've raised be used for in particular?
Yes, we were very fortunate to be able to self-manage that raise. We've had some incredible shareholders that have been with us for a long time, very loyal shareholders, that I think we're building a very good relationship with them, even in these difficult markets. And they saw this opportunity and they realized it was good for the business. And we took a lot of their feedback on board. And a lot of them have invested in this new raise, which we did internally. So no broker fees, no discount, no options that provide a bit of a carryover. So really, really efficient raise. And I must say, it's been fantastic working with the existing shareholders and integrating their feedback with what we're doing. They accounted for about 62% of the raise, so really quite significant. And then we were very selective with the new money that came in, which is a wonderful process. So now that money can go straight into this new project. We didn't need to raise the money for the acquisition itself. The acquisition was done with our existing working capital. So now that new money is for exploration on the Khaleesi project.
Yeah, fantastic, James. It's obviously such an endorsement when your shareholders participate in a raising, and also just validation for your team, your management team, and also the projects that you're working on. So well done. That's excellent. Now, talking about all of the positives about the project, let's move on to what are the challenges or potential challenges of the Khaleesi project that you might be facing?
I actually think the challenges are very, very simple on this one. It is actually well accessible. It's got a lot of data, so we're able to find out where we've got to go. We have got the relationship with the adjacent mine for access to parts of our tenements. We've got the relationship building now with the native title holders. That's all procedural. It's what anyone would go through when they acquire new projects. So I really think the risks on this are very low. In fact, there's an airfield within 20 kilometers, there's a road within 50, a pipeline nearby carrying gas. So it's actually a well-connected project, and it's only within 300 kilometers of Kalgoorlie. So it's certainly not remote. So I think the challenges are simple, procedural, and manageable. We're going to get through them very quickly.
Oh, fantastic, James. That's great to hear. Now, just quickly shifting gears to your Cummins development project. You briefly mentioned it as being an engineering project now, so it's sort of shifted in the cycle. Can you just give our audience just a quick overview of that project and what you're focused on over there?
Yeah, Cummins Range is a carbonatite. It's a rare earth phosphate carbonatite up in the northwest of Australia. We've engineered it to midway through the pre-feasibility study. We've de-risked the supply chain. And right now, we are focused very much on offtake. Offtake is the key validation milestone needed to validate the project in the eyes of the market, as well as give us the confidence to continue throwing the engineering funding towards that project. So that's where our focus is. Now, we are right at this point in a very significant pricing low for rare earths. And so that makes offtake a little more challenging. It also means that our share price has followed suit. We are very leveraged towards that downward turn in the rare earth metal pricing. So we are actually going to start to see that come back up. The demand is still very strong for that. We anticipate that to rise. With that, we anticipate any company leveraged towards the rare earth metal pricing will also rise. We'll be working through offtake very strongly on that. We are connected with all of the monazite refiners in the Asia Pacific, which is the best place to be processing this type of product. We've got plenty of samples in the shed at the moment that we can move through the laboratory to make sure that we're producing a stable grade and getting those samples to the off-takers for testing in their facilities before we move into detailed commercials with them. So it's a very narrow focus, but it's a very narrow focus. It means we're not putting any more significant capital into that project until that milestone is achieved.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, James. You know, as we know, commodity cycles, it's so cyclical. And, you know, it's great that you've now got the Khaleesi project, which you can, you know, work on in the background. And, you know, there's a lot of fundamentals for rare earths in the future as well. So when that turns, no doubt there'll be strategic sniffing around at that project, at the Cummins Range project. So, James, now I have one final question for you, and that is, can you please provide our audience with just 2 or 3 key investment takeaways as to why REE should be on their investment stock watch list?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to consider RareX as having 2 flagships right now. We've got an engineering flagship at Cummins Range, and we have an exploration flagship at the Khaleesi Niobium project. Now, Cummins Range has got a re-rate opportunity with offtake, and Khaleesi has a re-rate opportunity with discovery. So we're fantastically positioned to see some significant appreciation in the share price, not least the recovery of the underlying rare earth metal prices, which will just provide a positive overlay all through. So I think we're very well positioned, and I'm looking forward to the next few months.
Excellent, James. Well, thank you so much. As always, it's such a pleasure to chat with you and to hear what RareX has been up to, and really look forward to seeing what you guys do in the next couple of months now that you're well funded for your next exploration program, and look forward to having you back on the show very soon.
Excellent. Thank you, Jess.